Ted Cruz is in a lot of trouble. Republicans are now having to circle the wagons in order to help. Of course, Ted Cruz is in a contentious race for the midterm seat against Beto O'Rourke. Now, Ted Cruz is in so much trouble. He is being challenged so hard by Beto that Republicans, for example, the Texas Lieutenant Governor Dan Patrick, tried to go and get Washington on board. In fact, their message, send Trump, please. Please send Trump. Oh, awesome. Now, Patrick, who chaired Trump's 2016 campaign in the state, made the case that a Trump visit was needed to boost turnout for Cruz and the rest of the Texas Republican ticket. And of course, Donald Trump, always willing to please, said, you know what? I'm going to go help out my buddy Ted Cruz. Now, Cruz's response to that was basically nothing short of sad. Oh, thank you, Trump. Oh my God, thank you. I need you. It's okay that you called my wife ugly and said my dad killed JFK. But I have no spine, and so I really need your help. I just want to keep my job. Sad and totally pathetic. But there's more. The previously unreported meeting, according to Politico, comes as senior Republicans grow increasingly concerned about the senator's prospect in the reliably red state, with some expressing fear that an underperformance could threaten GOP candidates running further down the ballot. So, Cruz, if you lose, you screw everybody. Republicans are freaking out, and I love it. And it's because O'Rourke, look, I'll get into the details later, but O'Rourke has actually raised a lot of money and has closed the polling gap. He is catching up, and that's got them incredibly nervous. It's actually one of the best challenges to Ted Cruz that he's ever had. So, and Republicans look at that, and they're like, oh my God, he needs help. He needs help. Because look, not only does he have a money advantage, but and a polling advantage, but unlike Cruz, O'Rourke actually looks and talks like a regular human being, and not just a sentient wax figurine. Beto actually seems like a likable human being, like a real person. And of course, that's why they're worried, like, oh my God, if somebody actually likable goes up against Ted Cruz is finished. He's gone. He's gone. Now, of course, that's not guaranteed. We actually still have to go through the election, but nonetheless, I think that Ted Cruz is in a world of hurt. And that's, of course, why Donald Trump is even coming to his defense. Behind the scenes, the White House, party leaders, and a collection of conservative outside groups have been plotting out a full-fledged effort to bolster Cruz. Now, that is funny considering how Cruz was, of course, when he first got elected, he's like, I am the outsider. I am not the Washington swamp. Basically, he was attempting to be a weak-kneed Trump before Trump. Now, he ain't no tough guy. So, of course, but nonetheless, he made enough conservatives a little angry. And so, for a while, they didn't like him. But now these same people are coming to his defense, including Texas Senator John Cornyn. John Cornyn, who's planning an October fundraiser for Cruz, said he had a simple directive to GOP givers. This is talking to the donors, right? Now, to the donors, he says, we're not bluffing. This is real, and it is a serious threat. If Ted does his job and we do ours, I think we'll be fine. But if we have donors sitting on the sidelines thinking that, well, this isn't all that serious, or I don't need to be concerned, then that's a problem. Translation. Give us money now. Look, even though we can't make Ted Cruz likable, what we can do is take your money and just dump it everywhere on TV and radio in the hopes that enough people will be blanketed by bullshit that we can bury O'Rourke in our terrible ads. That's the whole point. I don't think it's going to work because, again, Ted Cruz, to show you how laughable Ted Cruz's campaign against Beto O'Rourke is, every time he tries to dig up dirt on him, that actually makes him look more likable. Can you believe O'Rourke was in a punk band when he was younger? Oh my God. Texas does not need someone who was in a punk band. No, actually that's kind of cool. I'm just saying. Beto O'Rourke once had a DWI. Oh my God. Whatever you do, do not look at that hot mugshot of his. It is almost as if they are campaigning for O'Rourke. While Ted Cruz, of course, continues to look smug, smarmy, and incredibly unlikable. And look, I'm not just saying that to say that. Texas voters really do not like Ted Cruz. In fact, I've got a couple of polls here from June. Now, these polls show that a majority of voters strongly disapprove of Ted Cruz's job performance. Only 33% of voters strongly approve of his job performance, while only 21% strongly approve. Now, of course, this is strongly, and you add in, excuse me. So that's strongly, and then of course you add in, oh, I kind of approve of what he's doing. It sort of goes to around 40%, right? 44%. Positive, and about 42, a little bit less, a couple points left on the negative. So, or I have that the other way around. I kind of have that mixed around, but it's more negative than it is positive, and that is disastrous for Ted Cruz. Now, favorability. You're going to love this. 34% find him strongly unfavorable, while 23% find Ted Cruz very favorable. Ouch! People do not like Ted Cruz, his own voters. Now, getting to the details about the money, O'Rourke has outraised Ted Cruz more than 2-1 in the past quarter. And as that has happened, right-leaning groups have been like, okay, we're in serious trouble. It's time to deploy the money bomb. In fact, here you have the Anti-Tax Club for Growth, who spent millions on Cruz during his 2012 Senate bid. They have started a 7-figure advertising blitz aimed at tearing down the Democratic congressman. The organization has begun polling the race, and David McIntosh, the organization's president, recently traveled to Texas to meet with donors who could help fund the barrage. More than $1 million has been raised so far, people close to the group say. A handful of other well-funded groups are considering joining the effort, including the Koch-backed Americans for Prosperity, the Mitch McConnell-aligned Senate Leadership Fund, the newly formed Senate Reform Fund, and Ending Spending, which has been in the past been bankrolled by major GOP financiers, including New York City investor Paul Singer. Some of the groups have been in touch with one another as they weigh their next moves and try to determine how much help is needed. Look, and in Texas, Ted Cruz is saying, help, I need help, I'm hurting. Beto is making me look like a beta. Now, of course, Doug Deason, a Dallas investor and prominent GOP giver, who met with McIntosh, says, and this is the key phrase here, this key sentence, I think there will be a lot of money. No kidding. Now, on Thursday, the Senate Conservatives Fund also sent an email to supporters asking them to finance Cruz. The Family Research Council is planning a multi-stop October bus tour through Texas, and this week Tea Party Patriots is expected to start a phone, text, and mail campaign bolstering the senator. And of course, Cruz himself, he's also not sitting on his hands. He is relying on the big donor network that fueled his presidential bid. He's been reaching out to major givers via text message and has recently been in touch with Becca Mercer, the reclusive conservative mega donor whose father was a primary financier of Cruz's presidential bid. Not only that, there was a time when Ted Cruz spoke out against Washington, like, not just Washington in general, but the way Washington works. Going to major banks to beg for money and, reaching out to lobbyists in K Street. Now what's Ted Cruz doing? He has been regularly inviting high-powered lobbyists to dinners at Capitol Grill and other Washington restaurants. Why? In order to beg him for money. That's what that is. Basically, this points out that these conservative groups, they're actually funneling resources from what could be other competitive races and putting it in Texas. That is huge. That is huge. And there's going to be a lot of money. Now, of course, one good thing about Beto O'Rourke is that he's not taking corporate PAC money. Now, I do have criticisms of O'Rourke. I don't think he's progressive enough on some of the issues. And a lot of progressives have pointed that out, like he's not for Medicare for all. He's not for things like that. So, seems like more of a centrist politician when it comes to policy-wise, right? That's a fair criticism, and I'll make that all day. But then you compare him to Ted Cruz. There's a world of difference between Beto and, of course, beta male Ted Cruz. And this illustrates this. Back to the article. They note that Cruz is turning to an old foe for help, Donald Trump, personally. Cruz is leaning on the president to turn out voters for the planned October rally. The president's son, Donald Trump Jr., is expected to host multiple events for the senator in the Houston area on October 3rd. And Trump, aides say, was eager to help. Why is that? That's because, look, President Trump doesn't do anything for you unless he gets something in return. You know what he got from from Ted Cruz in return? His loyalty. Ted Cruz, he bent over and kissed the ring. He bent the knee. Look, all that Ted Cruz is good at is folding to the alpha male in the room. In this case, it happened to be Donald Trump. If it were Chris Christie, he would probably do the same thing. That's all Ted Cruz is capable of doing is bending over. He is not strong. He is not tough. He's a beta and nothing more than a sniveling, smarmy little worm. In case you forgot, there is one picture that encapsulates just who Ted Cruz actually is. Sad. Hey everybody, thanks for watching this video. If you want to see more like this, please hit the subscribe button below. And if you want to support truly independent progressive media, please consider becoming a patron at patreon.com/TYTNation.